Powers of Congress. The powers of Congress are laid down in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Some of the powers are explicit. For example, Congress is given the power to coin money. Other powers are vague. For example, Congress is given the power to provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. Another way of categorizing the powers of Congress is as exclusive and concurrent powers. Some powers are exclusive to one house, while other powers are concurrent to both houses. Exclusive powers of the House. The House of Representatives has three exclusive powers. First, it is given the power to initiate money bills. This is because at the beginning of the nation's history, only the House was directly elected, and the Founding Fathers believed that the people's directly elected representatives should have the first say in spending the people's money. Second, perhaps the House's most significant exclusive power is the power of impeachment. The House can impeach, that is, formally accuse, any member of the executive and judicial branches of the federal government. It has used this power 19 times since 1789, the most recent being Federal Judge Thomas Portus in 2010. In 1998, the House impeached President Clinton. Third, if the Electoral College is deadlocked, if no candidate wins an absolute majority of Electoral College votes, then the House is charged with electing the President. The power has been used only twice, in 1800 and 1824. Exclusive powers of the Senate. The Senate's exclusive powers are seen as more prestigious than those of the House. Two of them, in particular, give the Senate significantly more power than the House. First, the Senate alone has the power to confirm, by a simple majority, many appointments made by the President. These include all the President's appointments to the federal judiciary and a great many, though not all, of the appointments to the executive branch. As a result, whenever the President wishes to fill a vacancy in the trial, appeal, or Supreme Court of the federal government, the Senate must give its consent. Similarly, an incoming President must have many of his new appointments to the executive approved by the Senate, including all the heads of the executive departments who make up the President's cabinet. Whenever a vacancy occurs, the President must seek the Senate's approval for replacement appointments. In 2013, when Secretary of State Hillary Clinton resigned, President Obama had to gain the approval of the Senate to appoint John Kerry to replace her. The Senate voted 94-3 to confirm him. An informal agreement called Senatorial Courtesy allows a president to confer with any senator of his party from a particular state before he makes a nomination to fill a vacancy for a federal office affecting that state. This is important when it comes to appointments that the President makes to the federal trial courts. The second significant exclusive power of the Senate is its power to ratify by a two-thirds majority all treaties negotiated by the President. This means that the President needs to keep the Senate fully informed throughout treaty negotiations to avoid concluding treaties that the Senate is unlikely to ratify. In December 2010, the Senate voted by 71 votes to 26 to ratify the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START, negotiated by President Obama with his Russian counterpart, Dmitry Medvedev. Once the House has impeached someone, the Senate has the power to try that case of impeachment. This Senate trial is to determine whether the person is guilty of the offense of which they have been accused by the House. If they are found guilty by a two-thirds majority, the person is removed from office. In December 2010, Judge Thomas Portus was found guilty by the Senate on 4 counts, but the Senate acquitted President Clinton in 1999. If the Electoral College is deadlocked, the Senate must elect the Vice President. Concurrent powers of the House and Senate. Despite the significance of the Senate's exclusive powers, it is important to remember that in many ways the two houses of Congress are co-equal, for they have 5 concurrent powers. First, and most importantly, the two houses are co-equal in the passage of legislation. All bills must pass through all stages in both houses. Neither house can override the wishes of the other. Both must agree the same version of the bill before that bill can be sent to the President for his signature. Second, both houses must vote by 2/3 majorities to override the President's veto of a bill. In 2007, the Congress overrode President Bush's veto of the Water Resource Development Bill. The vote in the House was 381 to 40, which was 100 votes over the 281 required for a 2/3 majority. The vote in the Senate was 81 to 12, which was 19 votes over the 62 votes required. Third, the two houses are co-equal when it comes to initiating constitutional amendments. A constitutional amendment must be approved by a 2/3 majority in both houses before it can be sent to the states for their ratification. Fourth, both houses must concur in a declaration of war. This has occurred on only 5 occasions, the last one being 1941, when America declared war on Japan in the Second World War. Finally, the 25th Amendment, 1967, gave to both houses the power to confirm a newly appointed vice president. This has occurred twice, in 1973, Gerald Ford, and 1974, Nelson Rockefeller. The relative importance and prestige of the House and the Senate. While House members represent only a congressional district, senators represent the entire state. For example, Representative Adam Schiff represents only the 28th Congressional District of California, but Senator Dianne Feinstein represents the entire state of California. She also enjoys a 6-year term in the Senate, whereas Congressman Schiff has only a 2-year term in the House. Senator Feinstein is one of only 100 in the Senate, whereas Congressman Schiff is one of 435 in the House. She is likely to get more of the action. Because of the smaller size of the Senate, a senator is likely to gain a leadership position more quickly than a member of the House. Indeed, Senator Feinstein was elected to chair the Senate's Rules and Administration Committee in January 2013. Congressman Schiff, meanwhile, was only 14th in the seniority rank amongst the 24 Democrats serving on the House Appropriations Committee, of which he is a member. It will be a long time before he gets to a committee chairmanship in the House. The Senate is seen as a launching pad for a presidential campaign. Presidents Harry Truman, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, and Barack Obama were all former members of the Senate. 6 senators launched campaigns for the 2008 presidential race. Democrats Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Dodd, and Joe Biden, as well as Republicans John McCain and some Brownback. There were also 2 former senators running for the presidency in 2008, Democrat John Edwards and Republican Fred Thompson, and both parties ended up nominating an incumbent senator as their presidential candidate, which was the first time this had occurred. The Senate is also seen as a recruitment pool for vice presidential candidates. Walter Mondale, Dan Quayle, Al Gore, and Joe Biden, 4 of the last 6 vice presidents, were either former or serving members of the Senate when elected vice presidents. Indeed, the Democrats have nominated a senator or former senator as their vice presidential candidate in every election since 1994, except for 1884. That is, in 15 out of the last 16 elections. Senators enjoy significant exclusive powers, especially those concerned with the confirmation of appointments and the ratification of treaties. However, when it comes to the passage of legislation, senators and representatives enjoy equal powers. The same goes for other concurrent powers. Finally, it is worth noting that members of both houses receive the same salary. In January 2012, $174,000. Under a formula included in the Ethics Reform Act, members of both houses can expect an annual 2.8 increase in their salaries, but this was denied in 2010, 2011, and 2012.